Oh, it's too good of a clip not to use. It's too good of a clip not to use. But welcome, everyone. Welcome to another stream. Welcome to another. It's Tuesday for me, but I think it'd be Monday for most of you guys. I was actually going to do this stream yesterday, and then I was like, I won't be bothered. So I just uploaded a video I had ready. So welcome, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's having a good day. Thank you very much, Josh, for the looks like a Super Nintendo controller mixed with a Nintendo 64 controller. It's jumping for joy. So thank you very much for that super sticker. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, apartment 4. Got to get as much apartment 4 in as we can before the flash comes to an end. Apparently Aliba's eating yogurt right now. God, what flavor yogurt? That's the big question. Don't leave us hanging. Don't leave us hanging about just yogurt in general. What flavor? Welcome James, Daniel, Kenneth, GPG, Lover, I think that Lover WBY, Ultra Media, I'm a Special Dude, Thanos, Godzilla. God, what a combination that would be. Jay Casali, scrolling up, Raymond, I think that's how you pronounce it. But welcome everyone. Drewski as well. Am I concerned about the looming writer strike? I think I'd be more concerned for like TV shows, probably something like. Maybe like any of those like TV shows that like and the DC stuff coming in the James Gunn thing, that's probably the worry there. Movie wise, I don't know, because everything's so far away in regards to what's happening next with DC. So it'd mainly be like that Waller show, maybe the Waller show, and that's about it. Would be like the one that's going to fill the issues the most, if that makes sense. Am I in the future timeline? Well, technically I'm in the future compared to a lot of you guys because it's Tuesday morning for me, and most of you it's Monday evening, Monday night, depending on which way it is, one of the two. I'm feeling better now. I feel still a bit weird, but it's not like overly sickness. It's more like dizziness, like fever sort of stuff, like feeling a bit weird, but it's not that bad. It just feels a bit weird sometimes. It's mainly when I wake up in the morning. Well, yeah, I had a good birthday. That was like a week ago, exactly a week ago, actually. So we'll call it the week after the birthday celebrations, if you want to call it. Thank you, GPG, for becoming a YouTube member or a time remnant. I think that's the thing that is put there. But yeah, in this stream, it's a pretty simple one. As you can tell, it's a Flash final storyline / just the ending of the show as a whole. Predictions / expectations of what you guys want to see, and also what you think is going to happen, because there's a difference there. I could be like, well, I want every single character that ever was in the show to show up, but what the expectations and what I expect to happen, I expect just a handful of ones that people really want to see, and maybe ones that they couldn't get, maybe they referenced or whatever it might be. But we're just going to be talking about that throughout this live stream, what everyone wants to see. So it's a very back and forth stream, so be sure to be thinking what you are looking forward to. James Gunn will make a Marvel 2.0 inside. I don't know what that means, Lord. I don't know what that means, like in regards to Marvel's tone. I don't know, maybe. I'm not too sure exactly what that means. You might have to, yeah. Would you be willing to watch Mr. Sophistication's theory video and there being no original timeline? Well, I won't watch any videos on here. In regards to no original timeline, well, there has to be an original timeline, because there has to be an original timeline to base things off, whether you use it the season 1 timeline or the one that Nora never died in, but Barry still became the Flash. So that is that the original timeline or season 1? So there has to be an original timeline. I don't know how there can't be one. But it depends which one you want to use, because you could argue what they're doing now in this week's upcoming episode potentially could make this the original timeline, and they could be retconning things where this is now the original timeline, because we don't know how things played out post-crisis exactly, unless they do flashbacks to show exactly how things were meant to happen. But that's a wait and see. We'll find out not tomorrow, the next day, so 2 days from now. Paige, you said that Margot Robbie may be playing. I saw that theory stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. Some of that stuff you see is, yeah, you got to remember those Twitter accounts need to pump out like just random theories and hope something sticks. Otherwise, they have to. Otherwise, they're not theory accounts, are they? They have to keep posting stuff. But in regards to this episode, actually, just let me know in the chat, in regards to this specific episode this week, like this episode 10 of The Flash, season 9, what what's one thing you're looking forward to the most? Because there's a bunch in there that I think that people are looking forward to, but what's the one thing? Because the thing that trailer did not show, which people were wondering, okay, is this character even in the episode, is they don't show Rick Cosnett. They don't show Rick Cosnett. And they're almost trying to make it seem, at least off the promo material, that he might not show up until like episode 13, but we know he's in this episode. So I think if you asked me before the trailer came out, hey, Paige, what are you looking forward to most in this episode? I'll be like, oh, seeing how the Cobalt Blue storyline starts and like what his plan is and what he's doing and maybe some different reveals in regards to that. But after watching the trailer, it's definitely, oh, I want to see how they're potentially going to connect stuff back to season 1. Because I have said, I'm not going to hide it, this is not what I would have chosen if I had Matt Letcher come back. I would have done Origin in the future. But when I think about it more, I think, oh, well, whatchamacallit, that storyline, if you do that in the future, it's pretty much just all a Matt Letcher Reverse Flash episode with limited Barry, and you could argue like no Cobalt Blue, and this storyline is about Cobalt Blue. So we can't complain about, you know, them not focusing on storyline and other things, and in this one they don't focus on the storyline and they get away with it. You know, but then I guess you'd be focusing on Reverse Flash, which people would want to see, especially that Origin thing. Now, here's the thing. So I think Raymond, hopefully I'm pronouncing that, or Ramon, not too sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they ask, wait, it's not an origin story? I clicked on that, show up. Thank you. Wait, it's not an origin story? It doesn't mean it's not necessarily an origin story. They might include it in some way, but I think it's maybe an origin story in a different sense. It's not a specific Reverse Flash origin story where we're getting like a retelling of the story that Reverse Flash told in Armageddon. Remember, he's talking about like, you know, he'd been planning to make his big coming out party as the Speedster, and then the Barry comes into the future for like no reason, something so minor and minuscule that it makes no sense that the Flash would be there, and he takes all of Earbud's limelight, and you know, Earbud was going to be the one that stopped all the, you know, did all this stuff there. They could include that in like mentioning again. I don't think they'll show anything, but I think the origin is more the origin of this loop. And the origin of that night, what leads up to it, and how pretty much just makes this full loop, which could then be paid off again come the finale with the Tom Cavanaugh version. I did make that video last week, I think it was, talking about like, is this how like Reverse Flash's origin, is this how Reverse Flash's story ends, where potentially where you get Barry forgiving Earbud. So you might get this experience with this younger Earbud that went there to kill Barry on the night that Nora eventually dies because Barry saves his younger self. And then in the series finale in episode 13, you get Barry not apologizing, but forgiving the older Earbud, played by Tom Cavanaugh. And that's where he fades away. So that's like the birth of the loop, and the finale is the end of the loop. And then, you know what I mean? So I think that would be an interesting way to do it. And it's maybe rethink how they're going about things. Could you screw it up? Yeah, I think it's actually hard to, though, because a lot of the foundation is already set there. And Eric Wallace has said that he was waiting for a specific moment to do this. So he couldn't do this last season because it would have been random to do it in something that wasn't officially the final season, and also maybe a storyline that didn't fit. So he used Matt Letcher in a different way last season, which worked. And when he said he was coming back this season for a specific reason that they'd been waiting to do, I was like, okay, well, that's either origin or the night of Nora's murder. But they're doing it in a much more interesting way. They could have done it in a very basic way. And no offense to the people that were talking about it before, but people were talking about a very basic, like, is it even any point going there? It's like revisiting just for the sake of it. Like, oh, we're here and then we go away. They're focusing an entire episode around this, and maybe Barry trying to do some things around. I'm very interested to see Barry's perspective in this episode, because we know Earbud's. It's pretty simple, Earbud's. He wants to kill Barry. We know he's going to end up killing Nora. Or at least that's what we think going into it. But what's Barry's perspective about the episode? Because he knows what is coming. He knows what's coming. We haven't gone through this. Like, Barry had the Flashpoint thing where he had to allow Earbud to kill his mum. And like the season 1 finale where he got told to turn away and just had to let her die. But what's this where Barry has this, like, well, not 24-hour period, but I don't know, let's just say 16 or 18-hour period, or 12-hour period, whatever it is. What's that perspective like? That sounds really cool to me. That sounds really cool and interesting. But yeah. I don't, oh, sorry, let me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I saw Raymond. So I think Raymond. I thought it was like layman. Like I've never seen like layman before spelled like that. So I thought Raymond would be the way to go with it. What was the thing I saw up here? I don't think it'd be possible to give Koa Blue his full story without rushing it either. I doubt Koa Blue will be appearing. I think Koa Blue will be more, because we know the crystal's in the episode. We know the crystal is in the episode. And this, we talked about this, but apparently Rick Cosner was on set. However, he was not seen. So it's like, hey, we can say you're there, but if we don't see you, are you really there? So at least we know the blue crystal is playing a part, and it seems that's the reason that Barry gets sent back there, because I don't. But here's the thing: in the trailer as well, people pointing this to me as well, is that Eobard Thawne asked Barry why they're in the year 2000. He's like, well, why are we in the year 2000? Why are we back here? What's going on? Why are we chilling back here? So I'm like, did Eobard have any intention to come back here? Or did he follow someone back there to end up in the... Like, I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. And hopefully we don't waste any time in the episode. Hopefully we just get like 5 minutes set up, similar to maybe like the episode we had last week, where they just took about a couple of minutes to set up Barry's party, and then Bloodwork shows up and the party gets started really quickly. Hopefully that happens this week as well. You think the negative forces choose Eddie? I think they'll probably lay back on that stuff. I think they're going to keep this very more attached to season 1 rather than anything that happened like season 6, 7, or 8 or anything like that. That's maybe what I think. I don't think they're going to attach it to anything from the recent seasons. Like Eric Wallace has sort of suggested it's all tied to the season 1 stuff. Paige, why didn't they do the origin instead of Red Death arc? Was Matt not available? I think it was probably, I don't know. I'm still confused about the Red Death thing. I know there's some people that like it. I don't hate it. I just don't care for it. I think it was a waste of time in the context of this final season. Maybe it's just something they want to do. No one would probably ask the question, but I'd be very interested to see like Eric Wallace's reasoning for, because I thought it was going to be different and it just sort of led nowhere. So I'm like, okay, well, was there any specific reason you had to do it? You know, I don't know. Maybe the crystal slowly brings villains from Barry's past. I think I don't know, because we don't know what this crystal is. Like, we didn't get any hints at it. We just got the crystal thing, like in the end credit scene for last season, like the final thing, whatever it is. What would you get? The end credit, stinger thing, or cliffhanger. And there was no like sort of like anything interesting where it was just there, but we knew it was in the future. So that's the big thing. That's why I think the theory that it's Malcolm Thorne, Eddie Thorne's illegitimate son, makes sense, unless Eddie gets spat out in the future. Or are we looking at the crystal after the events of what happens in this season? So is this sitting there and it's in a laboratory because that's where it's being contained after what's happened throughout this story? That could be what's happening. And maybe the crystal existed elsewhere. Like, that's the thing we don't know. We just know at the end of last season that crystal was sitting in 2049, I think it was. I think it was 2049. I was going to say 2047, but pretty sure it was 2049. Sorry, just a lot going on in the chat. Allegra will fill up 15 minutes of the episode. If that happens, I caramba, that's all I can say. Well, technically, she won't be doing that in episode 11 because she's directing it. So if you're wondering, oh, when's an episode with no Allegra? Probably episode 11 because she's directing that episode, the actress. I would love it if writers like Jeff Johns, Mark Waid cameo in the series finale. Well, I mean, they have little Easter eggs and stuff like that. I mean, Jeff Johns made a cameo in Smallville in the episode, but that was when he was like younger before he was at the height that he was at now. Is the Eobard that will appear in this episode the one from Flashpoint from season 3? No, we're led to believe this is one we haven't. So I think the youngest version of Eobard we've ever met is the one from season 2. Can anyone correct me on that? Or technically maybe last season? No, the one from last season is meant to be different. So I think the youngest version we've ever seen of Matt Litch's Eobard is the one from season 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it might be the one from season 2, and then it goes on into because that's pre-season 1 Thorne. and then we get the one that goes and does all the stuff at the night of Nora's murder. So I'd assume we're not meeting an even earlier version. I think this is meant to be the one that goes and kills. It just seems that he's confused. He's like, oh, well, why are we in the year 2000? He seems confused. So I'm very interested to see, is Cobalt Blue putting him there, or did he just not know what was like? I don't know what's going on there. It's very interesting at the very least, because it doesn't sound like it's planned based off the trailer. But of course, trailers can be very not misleading, but they leave out certain things. What if Red Death and the Rogues creates a gateway but fails, but the cliffhanger is a blue spark of energy representing Cobalt Blue getting out? Do you mean like they tie that back to the cosmic treadmill thing? Is that what you're talking about there, Algorithm Kid? I don't know I don't know what they're going to do. I'm very interested to see with the opening, if there is any sort of connection to, because here's the thing. Eric Wallace, as I've said before, he said that episodes 17 through to 23, or the finale for season 1, are like the homework, if you want to call it the homework, the setup for what's happening in this storyline. So if you need some preface to that, it's like pretty much when Eddie Thorne starts to spiral down. He starts to spiral down. It's when he learns that Barry's the Flash. I think episode 17 also has flashbacks to the year 2000 and stuff that's happening around here. And then it obviously leads up to the point where Barry and Iris start getting, hello, if you know what I mean. And Eddie just spirals down to the point where he then dies. He, kills himself to save everyone. And then we know afterwards is not recognized and everyone just sort of forgets about Eddie. So that's the setup for this storyline. And I'm very interested to see how they tie into that. And I think it's going to tie into it in a very interesting way. It just depends on who Cobalt Blue is. I don't want it to be Eddie, but I think I'm somewhat fine with it being Eddie. My only issue with it being Eddie is you're making Eddie a villain. He died a hero, but now you're making him a villain. That's my only issue around it, unless they try and make it that Eddie's corrupted by something and that something along those lines. And then I think I'd be fine with it. But that's why I sort of would prefer it to be Malcolm Thorne, and you can still make it like the comics instead of making it a long lost twin like it was in the comics. It's a long lost son that's trying to revenge and revenge his father's legacy. I think that works better as a storyline, in my opinion. You can disagree, that's fine. Silhouette Animator donated $2. Barry's "We Need Diaper" is line from season 4 callback. I mean, we could get that. I still have this theory that Iris has twins. I still have that theory that it's not just Nora that's there. I think it's Bart and Nora. And you're going to get that line of, oh, God, it's not just one, it's two. We're going to need more diapers. I think it could be something like that, but maybe I'm thinking too much in regards to that. And then GPG with £2. When do you plan to get back on Twitch, if at all? This week. It'll be not the day after the Flash, the day after that. So I think that'd be Friday evening, Friday night, American time. For me, it's Saturday, but it'd be like Friday night, Friday evening, depending on that. I just took a break because I didn't want to just do it inconsistently. I wanted to wait till I had an actual schedule thing again, because I was just testing it out and sort of getting used to it. Now I've got that set up, and I wasn't really going to start till Monday next week, but I thought, you know what, after the Flash episode and all the episodes, we can talk about that. So yeah, not the day after the Flash, the day after the Flash. Hopefully I'm talking English there. I'm a special dude with a 550. Thank you very much for that. Obviously, if you do want to get your question 100% read out or whatever it is, you can super chat. I'm not going to push it, but there. Just thought I'd note that just in case people were curious. But I'm a special dude. Or Thorne doesn't want Barry to know why he's in the year 2000, as he's there to kill Barry as a child. Maybe. I mean, that'd be a very Thorne thing to do. That. But yeah, that could easily be the case as well. As I said, trailers, they leave out things. You don't know exactly what's going on in all these different things. So that could easily be the case as well. And because I saw this in the chat, let's rock it.
And it says, "This house is bitchin'."
Someone put it in the chat, so I had to play the clip. I believe Keone and Cobalt Blue are connected to the Life Force. I understand the Keone one. I don't know what it'd be with the Cobalt Blue thing, though. The Cobalt Blue thing, maybe the Death Force? I mean, there's a whole thing there with the Death Force where if they're going to do the Life Force, is there going to be someone connected to the Death Force as well? I mean, Eddie died, so maybe that's some sort of situation they could go down, or some sort of like storyline little road thing they can go down if they want to. And I mean, we know he's bringing back people from the dead, so maybe that's a possibility that Cobble Blue is connected to the Death Force or like something along those lines. But I don't know. That might be a bit out there. I'm not too sure. Might be a bit of a stretch. Keone to me is top tier cringe. I don't find Keone cringe. I just find it like I think they introduced the character too early. Do you know what I mean? Because they introduced her in episode 2 and spent like the majority of the episode. That was like the one with the new fiddler, I think it was. And I think, introduced her too early. Now, the only issue with that is that Danielle Panabaker is a season regular or a series regular and an OG of the show. They're not going to leave her out for half the season. So I think, I don't know, maybe they should have done something else there. I don't know, but I guess they had to use the actress. They had to use Danielle. But I think they just brought her in too early. I think she should have been set up like in one of those filler episodes that we had, like in episode 6, 7, or 8. Like that's where she should have been set up, in my opinion, at the very least. Because then I think that she just had to dawdle there and she pretty much just roam around Star Labs going, ooh, like it doesn't really work in the long run if you're not doing anything. So she probably should have been set up in one of those interlude episodes, as Eric Wallace calls them. But yeah, that's why I would have set her up though. Thank you very much, Josh Dud, with the super sticker. It's a leveling up. There's a leveling up super sticker. My goodness me. You can't see it on screen, but I can bring up the little... I don't know why StreamYard doesn't have this thing, but anyway, you can see the super sticker thing there, but in the chat you can see it's like a leveling up controller. That is way too meta, I think. I believe Keone's just occupying Caitlyn's body for the time being. I know there's a whole thing about like, oh, they didn't give Caitlyn a funeral and stuff like that. I think it's because Caitlyn comes back by the finale. Caitlyn's in the series finale. I think she comes back. So that's why I didn't really care too much when people were like going on about it. I'm like, okay, I can understand that in the logic of Team Flash, but I can understand the writing thing. They're like, well, why would we spend an episode doing a funeral when we know she's going to come back in the series finale? At least I think she's back there. She comes back, sorry. What did the simulator say? Everyone's talking about what the simulator had to say. She talks about meditation and plans. Well, I said they had to give all this like connection to like nature and I guess like the human mind or whatever it is, or the spiritual sense of stuff. If I hear Team Flash say level up one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. To be honest, I wouldn't mind hearing it for old time's sake at this point. But yeah, this week's episode, I'm very excited for it. And to be honest, I was like somewhat excited for it, but that's because I didn't know what it was. Because here's the big thing. For those that don't know, I think they'd done filming this episode. They'd finished filming it. I think they might have been on episode 11 or maybe even 12, but at least episode 11 before they even announced Matt Letcher was on. So this episode was done. It was already filmed. They'd moved on to the next one before they even said Matt Letcher was coming back. And they filmed this in public and everything. Like the scenes with Barry and Eobard or Grant and Matt Letcher, they're filmed in public. They're filmed in like just outdoors. So I'm surprised like no one saw them. So I have seen people ask, is this just for one episode? I think it is, just based on what Eric Wallace said. He said, we brought back Matt for an episode that we've been waiting to do. He specifically said an episode. He's the only character actually where he said an episode, as if suggesting it's only one episode the character's in. So I don't know if he's in any episodes after this. If this is the only episode he's in, I think you have to be pretty happy with it because it's what a lot of people have wanted to see. So hopefully people don't complain. Fair enough if you don't like how they handle it, but in regards to him being in an episode, this is the one that a lot of people wanted. But here's the thing though. I know like this isn't me like attacking Fuji. So Fuji, calm down, I'm not attacking you. It's just that I'm using it as a reference point. So Fuji said like shaking my head, just an episode. The storyline is about Cobalt Blue. And as I said before, like I don't think you can complain about, and once again, this is not about Fuji, just in general. I see people saying it all the time, that like you can't complain about in another storyline, someone coming in and taking over and like, being like, oh, I'm happy, being frustrated that someone else is taking up screen time in another storyline when it should be focused on another thing, and then be happy when it's happening, and then be frustrated when someone doesn't do it in, say, this Cobalt Blue storyline. I want to see the Cobalt Blue storyline because I've been waiting seasons, pretty much almost the entire run of the show after season 1 to see this storyline. So I am super stoked to have it. So that's where my focus is. But getting this Matt Letcher, Eobard Thorne thing in this episode, it's like a side dish. It's like having a nice T-bone steak or something like that, or a nice New York strip, whatever it is, and then you got a great just side of, I don't know, mashed potato and gravy. It's something like that. You got like the Matt Letcher is that awesome side, or some nice crispy French fries, whatever it is, or steak fries, whatever it is. That's the Matt Letcher Reverse Flash. Cobalt Blue is the nice juicy steak, but man, those Matt Letcher fries, they go off, and hopefully they're really good. And maybe you get some Henry Allen and Nora Allen ketchup to dip the Matt Letcher fries in. Just realize ketchup is bloody and Nora gets murdered with a knife. I think it actually might be a steak knife actually, no, I think it's not a steak knife. But anyway, off the topic of food, I'm excited to see what this episode's like, but I'm very interested to see how this storyline plays out as a whole. So in general with this storyline, like, let me know in the chat, what's the one thing you're looking forward to most? Is it just Cobalt Blue? Because some people, I know there's some people that don't really care about the Cobalt Blue storyline, which I'm fine with. I'm fine. It's me personally that I'm really excited for it. But I know there's some people that are like, I don't mind it, but it's not like I've been dying to see it for all these years or whatever it might be. So like, sorry, I had to cough a bit there. So if it's not Cobalt Blue, or even if it is Cobalt Blue, let me know. But if it's not Cobalt Blue, what's something you're looking forward to? Because to be honest, they've actually contained a lot of stuff from this final storyline. We know Cobalt Blue's there, obviously, and we know there's all those evil speedsters and villains at the end. But outside of that, there's actually not a lot that's shown. There's actually not a lot that's been revealed at this point. Like, we know that Nora's coming back, XS, she's coming back into it. And from what we know, that episode's in the future. So I actually have no idea what the hell is going on in some of these episodes. We're going back over 20 years into the past in this week's episode, going back to the year 2000. I have no idea. Episode 11 looks like it's in the future as well. Episode 12 looks like it's in the future, but also mixed with some stuff in the present day, maybe. And then episode 13, it looks like we're back in the present day. So I wonder if Barry's gone from the present day for 3 episodes in a row. Like, he can't get back to the present day. I do wonder whether that's going on or not. Kang's most excited to see Cobalt Blue suit. Yeah, I'm excited to see that in, like, not set photo quality, like Rick Cosnet. Actually, I have to say this. I need to hope he has the sword. And DC Super Steve just put in there, I do wonder whether he'll have his mask. He does have a mask. It's not a very interesting mask. It's like a white with like a blue sort of like cross thing on it. I think it's something like that. But he's got a flame sword, which sort of taps into the crystal. So I'm really hoping he has the sword. The sword is something I really want that we haven't had confirmed yet. So I'm hoping for the sword. What if the Cobalt Blue storyline is actually a multiverse story? There is a possibility for that. Like, I know, like, you wouldn't think so, but now that we know that they've opened up the multiverse again after last episode, there is a possibility that could be the case, though they have to make it that it's like Cobalt Blue not messing with the multiverse, if that makes sense. It could be from another Earth, but he can't be messing with the multiverse, otherwise Oliver would have to come into it again. They've established that Oliver would have to, intervene if the multiverse was at threat again, like he was in the last episode. So he could be from the multiverse, but he'd have to be just specifically targeting Barry. But then what's the motivation behind that? You know what I mean? Like, what's the motivation behind that? The only thing I can think of is if it is Eddie and he was transported elsewhere in the multiverse. That's the only thing maybe it could work, at least in regards to like a revenge type storyline. 9/11 is an Eddie-focused episode. I think 9/11 is an episode where we'll figure out, if we don't learn in episode 10, we'll definitely learn in episode 11. I think episode 11 is actually connecting the dots to the storyline, if that makes sense. I think, based off what we know, but it's hard to tell at the same time. Pagey, read the simulators theory. The simulators theory. I cannot see it. It's the chat does disappear after a while, so I can only go back like 5 minutes, so I can't see it, unfortunately. So unless some simulator wants to put it again, I'm not too sure. Do you think this writer strike will delay CW renewals? It would delay anything. It would delay anything. It delays movies, it would delay TV. So depending on how, the thing is, there was one that was that it was going to happen. Like, was it the year before COVID or the year or two before COVID? And they dealt with it pretty quickly. They know how bad it can screw up things from, like, was it 2007, 2008? They won't let it happen again to a massive extent. They will try and sort it out, especially because of how much like entertainment controls things with all the streaming shows and everything. Like they'll sort it out much, 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 much quicker than they did last time. At least I think they would. Oh, sorry, that the blue crystal might be connected to the life force. Maybe the blue crystal's still like an anomaly. It's still like a question mark. Okay, it's like, what exactly does it do? As I said, we only got that little tease at the end of last season. They didn't really show much. And then in the trailer for this week, we only just see Joe pick it up. The only thing we know is that it's in the year 2000, where Barry looks like he's been just spat out. Like, I don't know. He just looks like he's been, I don't know if he touched the crystal. That could be a thing. Maybe it just shows up somewhere and he touches it and gets transported here. I must say, though, he's in clothes that you would see him wear to work a lot of the time, like a flannelette shirt and stuff like that. So I do wonder whether Barry goes into work, like the CSI lab, and that's just sitting on his desk and he touches it and then gets transported back. That might be what happens there, because he is dressed in normal clothes. He's not dressed as the Flash. So that might be what's going on there. These 4 episodes are mysterious. That what if these are time travel episodes? I think, as I said before, I think maybe 3 of the 4 are time travel. Episode 11, no, actually, it should be 3 of the 4, because in episode 12, when Nora is there, it looks like it's the future, at least some sort of future past 2023. It might not be like 2000 and 2234 or something like that. It might not be that, but it looks like it's at least 10 or 20 years in the future. I had it's like VR medical health or something like that. Like, you go to the doctor through VR or something like that. That's obviously not present day. So yeah. How's the Barbie trailer breakdown going? That's from GPG. We'll wait and see. You never know when it's going to come out. Might do that on Twitch in 2 days. Who knows? Who knows? Paige, I think you remember from the set photos, but Eddie was at his grave in 9/11. Yeah, so I won't jump into that too much, but there was a graveyard where, well, it wasn't Eddie. We don't know if it was specifically Eddie, but Rick Cosnett was at a grave. So we'll just leave that as that. Maybe Reverse Flash has the blue crystal and he drops it and Joe finds it as evidence. I want to say maybe that could happen. You know what? I mean, it makes sense to an extent that could happen, but I don't know. I think I don't want to make too many predictions, because I don't think whatever. I mean, you could make like multiple predictions, and I guess one of them would be right. But in regards to making like just one solid prediction, I don't know if anyone would be spot on exactly. But I think it's going to be really interesting. Will we see Color Blue recruiting individual villains for an entire episode? No, I don't think so. I think he might just go off screen for a bit. Like, I think he might. I think whatever he's planning, Color Blue's planning, it's not the villains. I don't think that's his. At least I don't think so. I don't think that would be his plan A. I think whatever the villain's coming back, that's his plan B. That's his like, oh well, damn, I didn't that thing didn't work out the first time. Whatever he was planning on doing, I'll just go back and do this. Now, in regards to how exactly he does it, it could be Blue Crystal in regards to like life or death force stuff, or he just time travels back, grabs them before they die, or whatever it might be, or in case of Godspeed, releasing him from prison. Would he have his speed? He probably would, I guess. But yeah. What if Barry grabs the crystal out of CCPD and drops it and Joe finds it, and that is why he's talking to Joe in the trailer? I think he's talking to Joe because he probably gets he gets like hit by something. It looks like he gets hit by a car or something in the trailer, and then you see Henry and Nora like kneeling over him, and Nora's got a phone out. You see that in the trailer. So I think he goes into the police station because maybe they don't have ID or something like that. Yeah, that's probably something like that. I think that's why he's talking to Joe. Or maybe he goes to Joe. I don't know if it's like anything to do with the blue crystal specifically. But then again, maybe that could be the case because it looks like it's around the same area. Yeah, I mean, probably a couple of different things. Fastest man alive hit by a car, shaking my head. I don't think he's got his speed. I do wonder if he doesn't have his speed. Like, I do wonder if or maybe he doesn't have the flash ring. No, but then he has the flash suit at the end of the trailer in the year 2000. So maybe it's I'm not too sure. But then again, I don't think there's anything in the trailer outside of getting hit by the car potentially that looks too dodgy. That looks too dodgy in regards to like, oh, why isn't he using his speed? And also when he's holding Thorn against the wall and he's phasing his hand, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he is. He holds Thorn against the wall and he's like phasing his hand, so he has his speed. So yeah, he gets hit by a car. But maybe people were looking at him and didn't want to seem sus. But then again, I think that's the bit where he's like, he sees his parents across the road and he's probably just like out of it completely, where he just sort of like is just walking towards his parents and then gets hit by the car. So he does have his speed because, yeah, you see him phase his hand when he's holding Thorn against the wall. Paige, what do you think of the Smallville series finale when it aired in 2011? I felt some of it rushed a bit. Yeah, it's still a good finale, I think, in like a fan sort of thing, but it was rushed a bit. But the thing is that a lot of series finales don't nail it. Like, I'd say the vast majority of series finales don't nail it in regards to exactly what people want. Some do, but the majority don't. So, I mean, I don't think it's that much of an issue when someone doesn't nail a series finale. I'm very interested at what the Flash would be in regards to it, because I think Arrow's finale was really Crisis. Its actual series finale is sort of like not a proper series finale, because I think Crisis is really its series finale. But then a lot of the other shows didn't get an opportunity to do that. Is Cisco still gone? I don't. Well, yeah, he's not on the show, if that what you mean, yeah. I don't know if he's going to be in the final thing. I know there was that Collider article, which a lot of people were linking me, going, oh, does this mean Cisco's back? And I think it was just someone making a mistake. I think they must have heard it somewhere else and gone, oh, Cisco's back. I think Arrow series finale is okay. It's okay. I think the issue is that like Crisis was really the finale. I mean, Oliver's been dead for 2 episodes. And if you put Crisis in there, like what, 5 or 6 episodes. So yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. It's not an amazing series finale. I think it's because it has like so many flashbacks. Probably Barry in an alternate timeline. Probably. Wait, sorry. Let me read this again. Probably Barry is in an alternate timeline. Probably Iris is married to Eddie instead of Barry. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what the whole thing of a new world means. Like, is it really a new world, or is this? Because it's like that, when you read that, you think, oh, they're changing stuff again, but I don't think they would do that. So unless it's maybe Barry's fight to stop timeline changes or whatever it might be, I don't know. It's very interesting to see what they're going to do. I have a feeling Eric Wallace is going to nail this just because he screwed up the rest of the season. I think he's going to nail this. I don't know. I just have this underlying just prediction and feeling that Eric Wallace is going to nail this. Maybe not the series finale, as I say, because it's hard, because you're not just tying up a storyline, but just a show as a whole. So I think that at least these first 3 episodes of the Cobalt Blue thing, I think he's going to do, maybe not 10 out of 10, but definitely do a really good job with them. Because I think this is what he wanted to do in the final season. Like, this is what he's been focusing on, because the Red Death thing is so, like, as I said, like a very first draft sort of thing. It doesn't feel like there was too much thought gone into the logic of a lot of the stuff. But with the Cobalt Blues thing, he's had a lot of time. So I think at least the first 3 episodes, because the 4th episode is a series finale. So, yeah. A great series finale. Big Bang Theory had a perfect finale. I think I only watched like the first season of Big Bang Theory when it was first out. I can't remember. Yeah, I never watched the Big Bang. I saw like clips and stuff like that, but I don't think I ever really watched it past that. Series finales. thing is, I drop a lot of shows before I even get to a series finale, so I can't really comment too much. The only series finale I can think off the top of my head is the one from The Office. That's the only one I can think of because I've seen it a few times. I think they might just reset the timeline in the finale. Do you mean in regards to the changes that have done throughout this storyline? So you mean like if there's changes in this week's episode up to the finale, then they reset it? Is that what you mean? If that's the case, that could work. Didn't they make Red Death the second Batwoman? Yeah, which made sense. I had no issue with Red Death being Batwoman or whichever Batwoman it was. It was the storyline around it. Like, I don't know why people had too much of an issue with it being Batwoman, because in the context of the Arrowverse and Earth Prime, it made a lot of sense in regards to relationships and everything like that. And also they wouldn't be allowed to use Batman or Bruce Wayne probably for that amount of time and make him a villain. But it was just that way that it was executed. I feel like Eric Wallace made the Red Death arc bad on purpose because he knew people wanted Cobalt Blue. I mean, that's a weird strategy. That's what I'll say. That's an odd strategy. I probably wouldn't go down that road if I was a showrunner. But yeah, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. That's all I can say. Paige, did you watch Weeds? I have seen Weeds. I've watched Weeds the entire way through. That's a good show, especially the first few seasons of that show. Sandman had a good series finale, but isn't Sandman getting a season 2? So it's not a series finale. I think I heard it's getting a season 2 at the very least. So I think that it wouldn't have had a series finale. It would have had a season, at least if it's a different Sandman show. Man, people don't like Javicia as an actress. It shouldn't have been Batwoman. I mean, I don't think she did a really good job acting wise and that thing, but I'm fine and content with the logic of it being Batwoman. I think it's people wanted Oliver Queen. People wanted evil Oliver Queen. I think that's what it was. Probably Iris gets pregnant with twin daughters, Nora and Dawn Allen. I don't think they'd do that. I think they'd probably just make Bart and Nora the twins. I mean, if you're going to do that, you make it Don and Dawn. You wouldn't bother with Nora and Dawn. You'd go Don and Dawn, or you go Nora and Bart. At least I don't think they would. The final fight for this thing, I do wonder how it's going to play, because it's very important to remember. People forget this. That was the only thing that we saw filmed for the series finale. That was the only thing. Out of all those days of filming that they did for the series finale, that was the only thing we saw, was that final fight thing. And it's not even a final fight. It's them standing opposite each other. We don't see anything that happens. We don't see that it's Cobalt Blue versus XS or anything like that, or Reverse Flash versus Jay Garrick. We didn't see anything. The only thing we saw is that standoff, and that there was like some Godspeed stunt scene filmed elsewhere, which we didn't even get to see them. We saw them practicing, or rehearsing, whichever way you want to put it. So I don't even know what's happening in the series finale for the most part. Yeah, the final shot from Grant Gustin, but even then, it's on a green screen, so we don't know exactly. Is it him running through Central City? Is it him running through the Speed Force? Like, what's he running through? What's he saying? You know, those type of things. So I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because I think set photo. Like I've had this like talk with some people, like, you know, you guys and stuff in previous streams and comment sections and Twitter and whatever it might be, about like set photos. Do they spoil the episodes? And I think to an extent you could say yes to a lot of different things. Like if you see someone's like die, like if you know someone's going to die, well, it spoils any sort of like anticipation or anything like that. But when you get those series finale things, when you see all those villains there, you don't know how they get there. You don't know what happens to them. You just know that they're there. So to me, that's not a spoiler. That's an advertisement. That's them advertising, hey, look who's in the series finale. Want to watch this? How good's this? Even with the Eddie Thorne stuff, or Rick Cosnett, we don't know who Eddie's playing, or Rick Cosnett's playing. Is he playing Eddie? Is he playing Malcolm? We don't know. Nothing from set spoils that. So I think every single set photo we got for this finale thing doesn't spoil anything. It literally does. I mean, we didn't even know Matt Letcher was in this goddamn episode this week, and we got a bunch of set photos for this episode, and we didn't know he was in this episode at all. The only indicator would be that it's in the year 2000. We just thought there was some weird manipulation thing, and it was just going to be Barry and Cobalt Blue. Nothing with Reverse Flash. So I don't think the set photos have spoiled anything for this final thing at all. I think they probably spoiled more for the Red Death arc earlier on, because they actually revealed it was Javicia Leslie. Those spoiled the storyline, even though I think a lot of people would assume it was her because you heard Batwoman music in episode 1. So if you knew the music, you knew that it was Batwoman. But yeah, like I don't think anything's really been spoiled to a large degree for this final storyline, specifically the series finale. Paige, did you see the promo stills for Titans 411? Is there anything of interest in there? Or that's just a curiosity thing I've ever seen them. I haven't watched anything since Titans came back except for the start of the Beast Boy episode. Because it's the only episode I was looking forward to. I'll probably just watch the rest when it finishes because I think it's only got a couple of episodes left. But I don't know, is there anything of interest in those photos that I didn't know about? Paige, do you think we could get a chase scene between the evil past speeds and Barry? I don't think so. Well, my theory around the final fight is, someone asked it before, is that Barry versus each of the villains alongside another person of Team Flash. So let's just say it's Keone is up against Savitar. Let's just say it's Keone up against Savitar. Barry goes helps her, and then it's like Excess against Godspeed. He goes and helps Excess take on Godspeed and defeat him, and then maybe the final one is that it's just Barry and Cobalt Blue, like it's just Barry and Cobalt Blue. That's what it could be there. So that's like the one-on-one sort of battle. But then with the other speedsters and stuff, it's another version of a person of Team Flash versing them, and Barry is like, so it's 2 against 1, 2 Team Flash members against 1 villain, but it's always Barry with 1 other Team Flash member. That's the way I think it's going to be. Are we getting all the past villains back? No, just the speedster ones. Like speedster main villains. Well, actually, you know what? We don't know. At least based off that scene, it's just the speedster villains. But, you know, DeVoe might rock up. Cicada might rock up and go, whatever the noise he makes. You get all that stuff. Red Death could show up. I mean, just put a stunt person in the suit. All these different people could show up if they want to, at least in regards to what we saw at the end there. It's just Godspeed, Kavanagh's Reverse Flash, obviously Cobalt Blue, Zoom, Savitar. I think. So it's 4 returning villains and then Cobalt Blue there. Maybe, I think I got that right. But yeah, you can have there could be something else in that episode earlier on or later, depending on where that's placed in the episode, where there's other villains like DeVoe or something like that. You know what they could do, because DeVoe got sucked into the chair, I think, and became like a technological thing, and then they just they can make him like that technological AI. It'd be pretty funny because AI is like dominating the world right now, but they could do like the AI thinker if they wanted to. Potentially, that's a possibility. Yeah, except Bloodwork, because he got he got his powers yeeted, if you want to put it. Okay, Karen Walters is back as Jason Todd. Okay, I saw that was in the trailer, I think, didn't they show that? I think they did. I'm a special dude, donated $5.50 for your super chat. If Thorne and Barry fight this episode, it will be the last ever time Barry and Thorne fight by themselves. Well, yeah, if it is like Barry, not versing Thorne one-on-one in the finale. Though I do hope we get that moment where Barry forgives Thorne. I do like that theory that people have. They're doing that thing from the comics, and Thorne hates that. And Thorne is like disgusted with that, and that sort of stops the paradox sort of thing, or cuts out the paradox in that whole loop there, and he fades away. I think that'd be pretty funny and really well done. And I think Tom Cavanagh would smash it out of the park if he's given that opportunity to do something like that. But yeah, I think like a proper fight thing potentially would be in this episode. But here's the thing. Like, is it really a fight? Because Barry might have to play with it. Or Barry just knows exactly what he has to do. He knows he has to save his younger self in this situation and allow Thorne to kill his mum. Actually, I just had a weird thought. No, they wouldn't do this. Okay. I'm a special dude sort of like triggered this, even though it has really nothing to do with actually it has a bit to do with the question. Does anyone have the thought? This might sound weird. Does anyone have the thought that they might actually have it that Thorne kills younger Barry in this episode as a twist? And that's like the cliffhanger. That's where the episode ends. Younger Barry actually like legitimately dies in this episode. I don't know how the logic around that works with like Barry not fading away, but then I guess he'd have like that time sort of thing where he can still be alive before he fades away. But what if Nora survives and Barry isn't quick enough? That would be weird as hell. That would be really weird. I think it's a bit too extreme. And also it's unfortunate because the actor that played younger Barry did pass away. So it's just like, do you do something like that? Unless it's done all off screen. Where that would be crazy. That would be really crazy if that happened. The only logic that doesn't work with that is if Barry stays around and just like what is it something where he's caught in a paradox then? Like, so it's not Reverse Flash stuck in the paradox. It's Barry that's stuck in the paradox, potentially, in regards to how things going, and maybe the blue crystal allows him to not fade away. I don't know. It could be something crazy like that. But I'm trying to think of a twisty McTwist sort of situation that they could do with this episode that would catch people off guard, is if they actually had it that Thorne succeeds in what he wants to do. And it might be because of Barry intervening. I'm not saying I'm okay with it. I'm just saying, what if that's what they do? I'm trying to think of like a way that they can twist something around where it's like, who's stuck in the paradox now, Flash? Not me, it's you. Sucked in. That could happen. I don't know. Food for thought? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But Raiders donated $5.99 through Super Chat. Thank you very much for that, Raiders. A few questions. Is Cobalt Blue a speedster? And do you expect them to do anything crazy with Barry to make him seem the most powerful Flash possible? Well, maybe you can argue him not dying or fading away after being killed as a kid. Maybe that could make him pretty powerful. In regards to the first question, no, he's in the comics, not really. He can be though, because the talisman thing, like the little gem thing, or what we're seeing in the show right now, the like blue crystal thing, that can take powers and abilities. So he could take the Flash's speed or part of his speed and use it for himself. So I think we will see that in some way, whether it's I don't think he'll take Barry's speed completely, or they could make it maybe the blue crystal can mimic speed, powers. I'm not too sure. But in the comics, that's what he can do. He can like take powers and he can use them for himself, or various abilities or whatever it might be. So at a base level, he's not a speedster, but in the long run, because of the crystal, yes, he can easily be a speedster. In regards to doing anything crazy and Barry becoming the most powerful Flash, it could be something crazy like that, where he somehow has his he's killed as a kid, but he's not faded away or erased when he's older. So like he maybe does the whole thing with like something with the Speed Force and placing a part of himself in the Speed Force so he doesn't fade away. It could be something weird like that. I'm not too sure exactly how they'd go about it. In the comics, he was the fastest. Is he still the fastest in the comics? I'm not too sure. They keep changing that around. But thank you very much for that, Raiders. I'm still an Iris being pregnant with Nora 3 months early. Is that a timeline change? Well, it goes against the map book. So I don't know. Is it really a time? I guess, I don't know. I guess it is. I'm not too sure. I guess it is. Yeah, I guess it is. What was the thing down here I saw? Please read Les Dates' comment. Les Dates. Barry. You almost got me. You almost got me. Good one, Les Dates. Les Dates, more on my plates. You almost got me. I was going to click on it as well. I was going to click on it. You almost got me. Are Caitlin and Killer Frost still separate people? Well, yeah. Well, Frost is like fully dead. But Keone is in Caitlin's body, if that makes sense. So she's in control of Caitlin's body. Because Caitlin's body went into that pod and Keone came out in Caitlin's body. So it's more just like a consciousness thing. Pagey, I got it. It's a simulator. Eddie blames Barry for reversing his sacrifice because if Thorne kills Barry, then Eddie sacrifices nothing. Maybe the only issue there is that the crystal's there. Actually, what if it's done? Because the thing is that what if it's Eddie Cobalt Blue trying to erase Barry's story to the point where he'd ever have any mass interactions with Iris and also have zero or minimal effect on the life of Eddie and Eddie's outcome? This has started like Theory Engine 101 because I'm sort of now really interested to see where they're going to go with it. I think this could actually, I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to overthink it because it might not play out this way, but they could do it where it's something where it is Co-op Blue trying to change, and which once again it ties into a new world situation where it's sort of like changing the timeline, or at least Barry's effect on the timeline in regards to what his story is. I mean, that could happen. I mean, it'd be a very Eric Wallace thing to do. I mean, he's not shied away from it. He did with Armageddon with Joe, and it affecting points from that point forward. So that could work. Raiders with another super chat. Thank you very much for that. I'm kind of hoping they steal away from Wally Comics and let Barry run to the edge of the universe. Something crazy to solidify him as the most powerful. I think they'll do something. They'll have a big flash moment. I'd assume they will. I think they'll have a very big flash moment. Once again, time back to Armageddon. They did that through Armageddon with Barry's power levels and stuff like that. I just don't know if you'd use the term level up. But yeah, like, I think there'd have to be something like that for sure. Watch the story be basic AF, and our theory is always fun. I don't think the story is going to be basic AF because it's already surprised us. We didn't think Thorn was going to like be there in that way. I think it's just more the logic of it, if it makes sense. That's probably the issue. I don't think it's necessarily what they do; it's whether it makes sense. That can always be an issue. In the next episode, will our Barry be the original timeline Flash since the other original got erased? I think that's roughly what they're doing. Jack the Snake. Something roughly around that to an extent, I guess, is that Barry is the Flash that was there on that night in some way. But I just wonder if there's some weird ass thing where younger Barry gets killed. I don't know why I have that theory. But I mean, if that happens, you know, where it not where it stemmed from, because maybe someone else has thought of it as well, but you know, where we discussed it. We did discuss it. Pagey, the preview for Superman and Lois is amazing. We're finally getting his origin. Wait, really? The promo on TV promos? I watched the promo. It was really basic. Oh. Wait, is this a new one? Oh, did you say preview? The preview, okay. Okay, well, I can't watch it because we know that we've been in this situation before where the streams just get killed in an instant because CW's got like a sniper on my channel in regards to this stuff. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not going to be able to watch this. But yeah, I'll if you're interested in Superman Lois, type in TV promos DB and there's like a preview thing for tomorrow's episode of Superman Lois about I guess they do some origin stuff there. Oh, Bruno's origin. Okay, Bruno's origin. Well, I'll watch it after this. I'm not going to watch it now because obviously I'm streaming. And I can't watch it on stream because otherwise we'll get kicked off. Yeah, I know. Less dates, mate. I was letting you have some fun, and I don't know why you had to be silly. I mean, I had to laugh with what you're doing and stuff like that, but I mean, when you're just spamming it, it's just, I mean, a dead joke is dead after a bit, you know what I mean? So yeah, I thought you would have called on, but anyway. An upgraded season 1 suit with brighter red and white emblem. I think they're just going to make it and sort of like change it where now it's just the current suit if they do something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, this piece of hair keeps going to my eye. Got a haircut for a reason, so it stopped going to my eyes. Could we still see unmasked Savitar but just through green screen editing? Grant filmed the scenes later after recovering. I'm not too sure. It's saying that we're going to get Pizza Face Savitar Barry, but we might still get that. It's just that maybe the scene that Pizza Face Barry was meant to do with not Earbud, Hunter Zolomon just doesn't happen and they change it up. That could be what happens there. Thank you, PBNG, for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you very much for that. What is Cecile's fighting ability? What is it? Mind reading or something? I don't know. I guess you could give someone a headache. I don't know. Something like that. I guess you could do that. They should have really done an upgraded suit for the final season. Like for Barry. I mean, Barry's got his final suit. I mean, the only thing he could really change is like little detailing things. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what Barry's final suit is. I don't think there's much I would change. Um, yeah, I don't think there's anything I would change. Is there anything anyone else would change with the final suit? I'm assuming you're talking about the Flash suit. Yeah, for me, I would be like, I'm fine with what it is. I'm pretty happy with how the suit is. Kind of off topic, what I hope Wally is a new Flash after the Flash movie and Gunn's DCU. It depends. I think it depends. I think if you're doing like a really, really new Justice League, I think you have to use Barry. I mean, if we had Superman who'd been around for 10 years, Batman who's been around for 15 or something, you could easily do Wally. I think they're going to use Barry. And also Barry allows, like, you get to use, if you don't use Barry, you don't get to use like Eobard Thawne, and like a proper connection there. And I mean, a lot of those rogues are built off the Barry Allen thing. Like, I like Wally West, but he's pretty much built off what Barry did. Like, he's built off Barry's legacy and then being the new holder of that mantle. So I think you need Barry there. And the Flash movie isn't touching, like, the Flash movie is like not really a Flash movie for the most part. It's like half Flash movie, half like multiverse Batman movie. So you're never getting like a full-on proper Flash movie, at least from what we can tell, in that movie. So I think you need to actually at least have one movie with Barry Allen before you do Wally West. And I'd rather see Wally West be Kid Flash, Titans. That's what I want to see. I want to see Wally West be Kid Flash alongside the Flash, get to do get to be on the Titans. You get to be with Robin and all, you know, whoever it might be, or, you know, Nightwing, if it's the Titans or Teen Titans. That's the storyline I would want, you know, if you're for Wally West. And then you see him develop into the Flash X amount of years down the track. That's what I would want. That's a proper development thing there. Paige, have you ever talked about people upset the Flash movie doesn't have Flash lore and villains and it's a Batman movie? I think I talked about it originally, like when it was being filmed or something like that, or when we got the first look, whenever it was at Fandom, I think it was, or the concept art came out. And I mean, they wanted this movie to be as big as possible. So, and the issue is that the movie has a lot of, like, if you've watched the Flash show's done pretty much most of the Flash stuff you can possibly do. The only thing the movie could do that could be a one-up would be maybe do a proper interpretation of the rogues. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only, got Chris Griffin. I mean, I'm using the same emojis. I'm sorry, mate. I know you're trying to have a laugh, but at the same time, it's just like I see myself as a bit silly, but I think there's only so far I can go. So Chris Griffin, I'm sorry. Back to, where do they live? Quahog? Where do Family Guy live? Quahog, I think it's called. Whatever the city they're in, go back there. Basically, they turn Cecile into Jean Grey from the X-Men, except for the Phoenix Force. I don't know if Cecile's going to be overpowered or not. Hopefully not. We know she's getting a suit, though. We know she's getting a suit. That's the one thing we know. Yeah, DC wanted their Spider-Man No Way Home movie with the Flash. That's pretty much what it is. I don't know. As I said before, sorry, I'll have a drink. I don't know if they're actually going to get rid of Ezra Miller. I think Ezra Miller might stick around, to be completely honest. But it's a wait and see. It's a wait and see. Quahog, Rhode Island. That's where it is. Watch Allegra defeat Zoom. If that happens, that'll be. What was the thing I saw up here? Yeah, so the original Flash movie was, well, there was two. There was one that had the Rogues and Captain Cold, and I think it was Golden Glider were the main villains. So obviously, Snart, the two Snarts. There was two versions of the original movie, like of the original plans that they were going to do before Flashpoint came into it, and it was Rogues. It was pretty much a basic Flash origin story where you actually get to, in the present day, you see him get his powers and learn them, and it was the Rogues. And the other one was very similar to Flash Season 1, to the point where Eobard Thawne was in a wheelchair, but he didn't go by Harrison Wells. He actually was Professor Thawne. So it's like Professor Zoom, which is like what Reverse Flash is called. So he was Eobard Thawne, I think, working at Central City University where Barry was a student. And yeah, and like he knew that Alan was the Flash in the future. And it's very, very similar to Season 1 storyline, except it was just Eobard instead of Harrison Wells. I think even Caitlin Snow was in the movie as I can't remember. I think she might have worked wherever Thawne worked, like in the science thing. And I think she might have become Killer Frost. I don't know if she did, but I know Caitlin Snow was in the script. So it was very similar to season 1 of The Flash, that version. So you can understand why they didn't move forward with that one. But Reverse Flash was the villain in that movie. That's the thing. I'm going to be sort of annoyed if the movie doesn't have any suggestions of Reverse Flash. But at the end of the day, I guess if Ezra Miller's not going to continue, does it really matter? That's the big thing. If Ezra Miller's not going to continue and they're not going to play off this story and that's, used in this movie, does it really matter? If at the end of the day, if that's the case, if Ezra Miller's not continuing, then it doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want in this movie. It could be Flash, but not even have anything to do with Central City. It could be, Leroy Jenkins, aka the Flash, if they really wanted to do it. If there's no continuation, because we know there's no Reverse Flash, Rogues, blah blah blah. Though it was suggested that there was going to be other people that work at, I think, was it the Top? Was it the Top or something like that? Was one of the villains that might be in this movie, or the person that becomes the Top? I think it was. I can't remember. It was something like that. It was a trailer that was seen. Joe West is the final villain of the final episode because he's saving civilians before Barry does. Maybe. You can't draw from Flashpoint without Thorn, but they're going to. That's the thing. They are. At least in regards to a faithful adaptation. I'm fine with the concept of Flashpoint and being used and what they're doing in the movie, but it just feels weird not having Reverse Flash there. At least in regards to being explicitly there, we know he's there. Cast Anthony Starr as Reverse Flash. I don't mind that casting, but he'd just be playing Homelander. He'd just be playing Homelander, but as a speedster, which I guess is fine if you want a good take on it. But maybe for him, he'd be like, is it really that much different? But I guess money talks. I don't know who he'd cast as Reverse Flash. I remember the Will Ferrell rumor from ages ago. That was hilarious. Best ending would be Ezra Flash gets arrested and Grant Gustin as a cop arrests him. Is that a end credit teaser? I don't know. Captain J donated $2. Cecile reminds me of Psyduck when she goes obviously, what's Psyduck? Psyduck. Just for a reference, so people know the photo. Oh, there's a couple of different. Actually, this one's probably the best one. We use this one. That's probably a good reference point for. So this is Cecile, pretty much in any scene that she's in. So that actually might be a sneak peek preview shot from this week's episode of The Flash. Hopefully not, because hopefully there's limited Cecile. But that could be a shot of Cecile from this week's episode, if she's in it. Or maybe that's a leaked screenshot Canada Grass photo from the series finale, episode 13. I'm not too sure, but man, who knows? Pretty much Cecile whenever she uses her powers. Paigey, what would be a good way to undo Spectre and also bring Arrow to life permanently? I guess undo Oliver's death. That's probably the best way to put it. I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. Undo Oliver's death. Or make it where some weird thing where, I guess someone takes over the role of Spectre. Maybe that's probably the best way some way you could do it. Where he gives up his role as Spectre and whoever is the new Spectre brings him back to life. That'd be the way you could do it, I guess. Because he brought Barry back to life. So that'd be a way to do it. Is Cecile still a cheap plot device? Well, I mean, she's married to Joe, so she's not just a plot device that's there all the time, but they use her, I'd say plot convenience, maybe. Maybe. That's probably the best way to put it. A lot of people are saying that Hollywood is done because of AI. No one. Because some of those things where I saw people saying that, it's horrible. I'm looking at it. It looks like a video game, one of those Bioshock sort of thing. I'm not saying Bioshock's bad, but it looks like Bioshock, but not real and worse. Anyway, the AI thing is weird. I don't know why people are so obsessed with it. Not attacking anyone in the chat, but in regards to making stuff with it and but I don't know how hard it is to make stuff. I haven't really touched upon it. So when you see all these people making AI videos and stuff, it's just importing multiple videos of someone talking in interviews, and then it's an algorithm that puts it together. I don't know how it works. Mainly because I don't really care, so I haven't looked into it too much. But some of the stuff with the Chat GPT and everything like that, that's pretty crazy. The thing is, I've never tried it, but I wonder if you could type into Chat GPT or one of those AI things and go write me a script for a Flash YouTube video or something like that. reverse flash theory. Tell me something like that and make stuff up like that. Wonder if that would work. I don't know. But Josh with the $5, thank you very much for that, Josh. If Swole Pagey, aka Shirtless Pagey, had meta powers, what would he have, and who would win the battle between him and Goldface? I know, like, I'd like to think Swole Pagey or Shirtless Pagey is like very Johnny Bravo-esque. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know what is Johnny's Bravo's powers are. I'd like to think he's very Johnny Bravo-esque. That's probably the best way to put it. And I think by that he almost wins by default against Skullface because of the Johnny Bravo powers. But I'd like to think that Johnny Bravo stuff. Yeah, they're so generic, the AI stuff. It seems like it'd be very generic and stuff like that. At least I haven't really touched it. You know, I tried to get onto whatever the Chat GPT website. I think it might have been like chatgpt.com. And it was when it was at its like height of when it was first coming in and height of popularity. Like everyone was really curious about it, and I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in, and then I just went, "Oh, well, I'm not going to bother now." So I just stopped at that point. And then I didn't even know about the video AI, and I saw like the AI art and stuff, but it didn't look. It looked like all weird to me. Pagey, it worked. I asked ChatGPT, write me a story about the Flash. Write me a story about Reverse Flash. And I wrote a long ass story. I mean, it probably would. I mean, you see people write me an essay on the American Civil War or whatever it is, and then just get a full on essay about it, and like it's all opinionated and everything. But the thing is that like if you submit that to your university or high school, they can run it through a detector and they know it's AI generated. But then you can just use Grammarly to like, I don't know, I'm giving people cheating hacks for like university and stuff. If you use Chat GPT and then you use Grammarly and then your own your own editing thing and just swapping things around, or like a thesaurus or whatever it is, you can get away with it. You can probably get away with it. I think you would at the very least. I don't know. Don't cheat in school, kids. That's the best way to put it. Don't cheat in school. The Arrowverse movie should be 10 years in the future, and Batman, Wonder Woman, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern should already be established. To be honest, if I think they did anything like, what do you call it? Like with an Arrowverse movie, I think you just really revolve around the actual Arrowverse characters. Maybe introduce something like that might stem from like a legacy sort of thing down, or someone that from like a earlier generation or whatever it might be. But I think you just use you pretty much just use the characters that are already there, and maybe a character that you weren't allowed to use, maybe like a Batman, and maybe a Green Lantern. Maybe, or Diggle actually might actually become proper Green Lantern or something like that. Episode 10 transcript leaked, and it's the best at writing. Well, please don't spoil anything. I'm fine with that. They don't really leak. It goes onto like one of those closed caption websites sort of things. So it's not like, I guess it is technically a leak because it probably shouldn't be out there before the episode's out. But yeah, please don't post anything. We should have been given a true adaptation of Flashpoint with Thomas Wayne and the Atlantean War. Visually, that would have been dope. Yeah, that's like in a perfect world. I think you have to wait till the movie comes out. Like, I don't know, maybe this is a better adaptation or the best way to go about it in the actual Flash movie. But yeah, I think that's what people probably wanted the most, or at least like a play on that. But yeah, I mean, that's not what we got. So we know that's the case. Paige, would you want Steven to return to DC in the DCU and be their Green Arrow? I think they'd probably go for a younger Green Arrow, like really like full on origin type stuff. I like to see Steven there. I mean, who could he could play? Maybe he could play Robert Queen or like something like that. I don't know. Maybe he could play like Robert Queen, but when Oliver was younger, like some sort of like fan sort of thing there. That'd be pretty cool. What was the thing up here? Paige, you should watch this fan-made Impulse series. Yesterday, the first episode was released. The guy emailed me. I was going through my emails literally this morning, and I think that the guy emailed me. I didn't reply to him because I only saw it this morning. I'll try to find. I think he's Australian. I think it's an Australian guy that made it. From what I was just browsing through, so I didn't read the email properly. But yeah, there's an Impulse series on. I think. Yeah, it's on YouTube. So Alejandro wrote it. I think the guy's Australian, from what I could tell from the email I saw. So yeah, but yeah, if you type in like Flash Impulse series or something like that, I mean, let me look up his name. Sorry, I don't have the email on my phone. I have to, on my computer. Sorry, it's on my phone. Let me just quickly find it. It was, where's my Gmail? Gmail. Goddamn thing. What was his name? I only saw it the other day. Not the other day, this morning. Primary? What was his name? Cine Studios. So if you type in Cine, like cinema, but you take it the MA, so Cine Studios, it's just called Impulse. So yeah, Joshua is he's the director. Yeah, I'll give him a reply after I finish this thing. I'll tell him that so it came out yesterday. No, not yesterday, 2 days ago. But yeah. So if you want to type in Cine Studios on YouTube, you got to find the Impulse episode. I think it's only the first one, I think, from the email from what I said. But yeah, if you go to the video, just say that I sent you or something like that. So Cine Studios, and it's like an Impulse series on there. So if you want to watch it. We might watch it on, actually, you know what we'll do? On Twitch in like 2 days, we'll watch it on Twitch. I don't know how long the episode is, but we'll watch it on Twitch. I can't watch it here because of copyright stuff. Even if the guy doesn't want to copyright me, sometimes it's just like automatic stuff. But we might watch it on Twitch in like not 2 days from now, 2 days after the Flash episode. So on Friday evening, Friday night, American time. 46 minutes? Is it 46 minutes long? Oh my God, I thought it was like a short sort of thing. Okay, well, I guess we're watching a 46-minute thing potentially. I might email him saying if it's okay if we do that. Or I might watch the trailers or something. I'm not too sure. Didn't realize it'd be 46 minutes. But yeah, just make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm actually going to end the stream now, guys. I've been streaming for about an hour and 17 minutes. So I was only going to stream for about an hour. But yeah, so I won't stream tomorrow. Tomorrow's Superman and Lois, but I will probably stream on the morning of the Flash, just as a bit of a hype thing, just to talk specifically about that episode and just to keep people busy, keep myself busy as well before the episode comes out. But yeah, thanks to everyone that tuned in. Hopefully everyone has a good day and, good dreams, good sleep. And yeah, look forward to that episode. But as I said, we'll stream a couple of hours before that episode comes out on Wednesday night American time, but Thursday for me. So thank you everyone that tuned in, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.